price prediction for the next 5 years, Bitcoin?
So before I answer that question, two things to mention. One thing is, why does the price go up in the first place? I think that's probably the fundamental premise we need to understand as human beings, trying to understand this, and Muslims trying to understand what's going on here. Why does the price of Bitcoin go up? Is it because it's internet magic internet money that are just destined to make people rich if they get in early enough? Well, actually, that's a byproduct, but the value of Bitcoin is tied to adoption. So, okay, let's do simple maths. And whoever's interested in going for simple maths, just get a piece of paper and pen and just jot down so many numbers, or your own numbers or my numbers, up to you, but just write this down. So there's only 21 million Bitcoins that will ever exist in history at all. That's it. There's not, it can never be more, it can never be more than that. And there are already 7 billion human beings alive. So if every human wanted to just have some Bitcoin, we can't all have a whole one. Just as a thought experiment, if every human wanted to have some Bitcoin, we couldn't actually have a whole Bitcoin each. There isn't enough. So, okay, imagine we distributed Bitcoin evenly amongst every single person on planet Earth. Everyone gets the same amount of Bitcoin spread evenly. Great. Yeah. We're all now Bitcoin owners.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you want to pay your employee his wages. Yeah. So that means if he was getting, let's say for example, he was getting $3,000 a month, $3,000 look like, it wouldn't be one Bitcoin evenly to everyone. So this basically works out to be, I think, something like 0.0002 Bitcoin, some number like that. So it's really a small fraction. So if you try and the question is, what price does each Bitcoin need to be for us to have, or for what we have each to equal our wages? Think of that as I'll say it one more time. What price does one Bitcoin need to be for my small fraction of a Bitcoin to be equal at least my wages, or my wages for the year? That means the price of Bitcoin has to be in the millions, not in thousands. Bitcoin at the moment is extremely cheap if it's something that we're going to use as international commerce between countries and nation states and whatnot. So the fact that one Bitcoin now is $60,000, that is extremely cheap on that premise. So in the long term, Bitcoin price is going to go up, because the more people adopt it, the more rare it becomes, the more harder it becomes to actually achieve one, and therefore it needs to be diluted more. The price needs to go up more. So in the long term, I think quite easily well over $10 million per Bitcoin. And I know it sounds funny. But if you were in Bitcoin, if you asked me that same question in Bitcoin when it was only at $1, that Bitcoin would be at $60. That was equally funny. But you know, it's actually easier. Listen carefully. It's actually easier to go from $60,000 to 10 million than to go from 1 to 60,000. Do the maths. If you actually do the maths, how much percentage gain do you need to go from $1 to $60,000 compared to $60,000 to 10 million? It's actually quite easy. It's not actually that difficult to go to 10 million. So 10 million is at the very least within the next 10 years. So that's the first thing.